Hey everyone, GeForce41 here with another PGA Tour 2K23 design tip video. Sorry I've been away for a little bit, but hopefully I'm going to get some more content out to you real soon in the next month or so. Where are we? We are at my soon-to-be-released course, Cuyahoga Downs. It might be Cuyahoga County Downs. That was the original name. This is a port over from 2K21. Which I have not released yet. It should be released in the next week or two. And the subject of today's design tip tutorial is green entrances. So we've talked about greens, making your greens look natural. We've talked about planting, making your planting look natural. We've talked about trees and tree lines. One thing I've noticed in newer designers courses and courses that don't seem to make the cut, either for TGC tours being tour worthy or approved, or courses I can use on the casuals, is the green entrances. So, unfortunately, I think this is often overlooked. It's very important. It's almost as important as your green. I've heard real architects actually say that. And I think it's neglected often by newer designers, and it takes a little bit of time and effort to get it just right. What we're looking at here is the first hole. This course is designed and inspired by Donald Ross courses. It's named Cuyahoga after the famous Ohio courses, Inverness and Scioto. So it's a very Donald Rossi inspired course, and therefore there's some elevated greens. So we're going to take a look at how you pitch the greens, how you get that elevation just right in the entrance to the green, and then maybe we take a look at some other holes that may be kind of a little bit more downhill, side hill, etc. We'll also take a look at some of the how not to courses, holes, and again, not to make fun of those designers or those designs, but to show you what to look out for. I see it all the time, especially in elevated greens. The slope is too severe. So we're going to go at this hole right here and show you why it's very important, okay? So let's get right to it. Okay, so this is the first hole. It's par 4. I've hit a nice tee shot down the right side, just like I should. Kind of opens up the green a little bit, and this hole location is in the front. It's the 4-hole location. And you can see here, I'm kind of in between clubs, right? I've got a pitching wedge here that goes about a $145. I've got a 9-iron that goes 157, but I've got a little bit of a downhill side hill lie. So if I hit the 9, it's going to go deep. And you're going to have a little bit of ramp there. So you can play this shot a number of ways, and that's why I've designed the green this way. That's why Donald Ross designs greens the way he does. Not that I'm in any way, shape, or form should be in that sentence with him. But that's what I'm trying to do here, give you some options. So you could hit one up here and roll it off that slope. You can kind of draw one in. You can maybe even fade one in. But you also, if you had tough wind conditions, we don't here. It's a southeast wind at only 2 miles an hour. You can run it up the front. Now, the problem I see with most elevated greens is this is too severe, and it's too penal. Okay, it's not sculpted correctly. Folks hit that flatten button and make it basically a big lump here, a big hump, and it really prevents you from approaching the green from just the front. Should it reject bad shots? Yeah, it should, and this will. But could you actually run one up here? Yeah, you could, just a little. If you just want to catch, you'd have to do it just right, which is what I'm going to show you. And if you do it just right, it should roll onto the front of the green. If you do it wrong, it's going to reject you down here. But it's not too severe, okay? Let's take a look from the side. You can see how I've smoothed that. And I can show you later how to smooth it. But you have to basically iron it out and press it out and get it just right. And you can't do that after you've done the green, or you're going to mess up the whole green. So you've kind of got to do that first. You can go back and fix it later, but it's going to just be a lot of trial and error to fix it if you don't do this right when you're designing the green, okay? So let me show you what I mean. This shot here, I'm going to just give it a little bit of D-loft, okay? Hopefully I'll hit it right, and it might take a few takes, but I've got it on amateur swing. Let's see what happens. Hey, I perfected one. I pushed it a little. But you'll see that's going to land just in front. It takes the hop, and it rolls onto the green, and it trickles on. That's still a decent shot. Was it perfect? No. But look at that. I got a good birdie effort there. Okay? Okay. Now let's see what happens if I miss a little. Now I'm hitting it short on purpose. Okay, and that's not going to go anywhere. So it rejected it. Did it roll all the way back? No, because I didn't design it that way. I don't, it doesn't necessarily have to go all the way back down that hill. If you look, here's the hole, 4 feet below where I'm standing, right? So it's a little bit of a, believe it or not, downhill shot from the fairway, but the green is pitched, right, as most greens are. If you go down here, it's only 8 feet, 9 feet. That's 4 feet. If you go down here, more, 10 feet. So really, it's a difference of 5 or 6 feet. So that's right. If you're walking up to the green, that's basically eye level, right? That's actually a fairly sizable hill when you think about it. If you think about walking up to a green and there's a hill in front of you that's basically at your head, that's a hill, right? But it's not too severe. Okay, so we'll talk about how you get there. But what I see people do is basically push the green down, flatten it here, and there's a big, huge drop right here. And it just rejects it like, Dikembe Mutombo rejecting a layup, right? Or a jump shot. It's just, it's too severe. Okay? Alright, so let's take a look at another one. Okay, we're on the 13th hole here. This is a par 5, a very short 5. This is designed to be inspired by, I think it's 8 at Kyoto. 8? Is it 8? I think it's 8. It was on one of my other videos. So it's very similar to that hole, but you see here another very subtle entrance, okay? Now this hole's designed to play differently in very different conditions. There's a little bit of an entrance here. You've got a runway to run one up if the pin is in, this is the 3 location. Right, you're gonna play it a little differently if the hole is here, or if it's here, or if it's here. Okay? But you've got this bunker to contend with, and then you've got the bunkers in the water over here to contend with. In this game, is the water in play? Not too much. In real life, would that be in play? Hell yeah. Right? But with this wind, I've got the wind at east and medium. It doesn't take the 5 wood. You're just going to be able to run a 3 wood up there, a 3 iron up there, and that's because I've carefully sculpted this entrance. Again, is it flat? No. It's, if you're going to be off a little, you can go into this bunker. If you're going to be off a little over here, you're going into this bunker. But it allows you to run it up. If you come up short, it's not going to, it's not going to take it. It's going to stop short. If you get it just right, it's on the green. Okay? So you do have a little bit of an entrance, and it should help you get on. So 3 iron, a little bit of wind off to the right. We got a little downhill, side hill. Let's see what happens. Did I pull it off in one take? Look at that. Bounce, bounce, roll. How's that? Voila. There it is. Alright, let's take a look at another type of entrance. This is the 10th at Cuyahoga, and guess what? There is no entrance. Why? There's a good reason. There's a hazard there, okay? There's water cutting across, going off to the side, and it's a little bit of an island, not really an island, but a forced carry over a hazard in front of the green. The fairway stops. There's no room for any more fairway. So are you going to see these sometimes? Yeah, I see a lot of these on Donald Ross courses. You'll see a very elevated green sometimes with no fairway leading into an apron or an entrance. Or you'll see something with a hazard in front of it. So there has to be a reason. Okay. Okay. So yeah, could you have these greens? I like these with no entrance at all. Sure. Have a good reason. This is the 10th hole at Inverness, really. That's the inspiration. So it's actually the fairway ends. I'll try to show you here real quick. The fairway ends, you'll see, and then there's a second fairway. Why? Because there's a hill basically there. And so it's a short drive off the tee. It could be a 3 wood, 5 wood up to that top tier, or you could try to bomb one down to that front one. But the point is, the approach here is the challenge. Again, I try not to take it too severe, but you see there is a hill there, okay? So you are going to run into some trouble if you're coming up short, but it's not overly dramatic, okay? It looks fairly natural. it's definitely something you'd have on your mind if you're hitting this approach for real. In this game, you know, unless you're really fast or slow one, are you going to put it in the water? Probably not. But you might find yourself down in here, or down in here, or off over here. You might have to, actually, if you slow one, this might come into play on this whole location, okay? But there are instances where there is no entrance, and that's okay too. Just have a good reason. Okay, now we're going to take a look at some of the holes. It's kind of the how not to section. And again, disclaimer, not making fun of these designers or courses in any way, shape, or form. This is for informative and educational purposes. But I want to show you these things that just stick out as soon as I see them. And it's almost always with a new designer you see these type of things. Again, uphill shot, way uphill. 48 feet uphill, a little too much for me, I guess. Can you have those hills? Sure. This is the first hole. But take a look. Not only are you going way uphill, look at the entrance here. Okay, way too severe, right? Way too much of a drop in front coming down here. Okay, you're going way down. You're already going uphill. You're 49 feet. Now you're down to 38 feet in a hurry. Okay, that's a big 10-foot drop. That's just like a wall right in front of it. And what happens is, I think the designer wants to get some sort of flat area up on the green up here, and takes a big flatten brush, maybe the size of my circle, and starts flattening up here. Okay, not up there, sorry. Let me move it. Hits the flatten brush and flattens all this. But what that does is flatten out to here and creates that severe drop off down here. Okay, because it basically lifts that front of the green up, and it separates it from the fairway that you're not sculpting, right? So it kind of lifts it, and I'll show you in the how-to section in a moment. But this is way too severe, especially for a huge uphill shot. Now, Gary, well, how can you get up there? Well, yeah, you've got to smooth out that front a little too, because just look how severe it is. Now, again, 48 feet's way up there, so it's hard to pull off to begin with. So inexperienced designers, I wouldn't recommend making severe elevation changes. Build up to that, okay? Try 10, 20 feet first. 49 feet up from the fairway is a big hill. Big hill, okay? All right, let's move along. Okay, let's take a little bit of a look at the how-to, okay? This is one of mine that's actually a port over. This is hole 9 at Penobscot Bay. It needs a little work, okay? This is heavily inspired by the Samoset Resort in Rockport, Maine. I have not released it. I'm going to try to touch it up after I release Cuyahoga. But I wanted to use this to demonstrate the concept to you. This is a pretty elevated green. When I was designing this hole, I probably didn't intend it to be that high. I mean, this course goes back 2 games, but this needs some work. Okay, this is about, you can see up here, what do we got? Green height, 1 foot 3 inches to down here. Now it says 17.9. Okay, so that's a 16-foot hill. Okay, it's about a 12 to 13 foot hill from the base of the hill. That's pretty high up there. Here you can see exactly what I'm talking about, criticism. That's a little too much of a bump for me. I think in general I need to lower this entire green, and I'll do that at a later time. But just to show you what I mean, when you're sculpting this thing, I think what people had a tendency to do is go to flatten, go to the general flatten brush there, the one that everybody uses, and they take it and they go like this. Right? Now look what happens to the front of the green. Okay? So you're flattening the front of the green, but this is getting worse. Okay? Try to look at it from this point of view. Look what happens. You're going to pull up that front section, right? And it just doesn't extend out, and it just makes it worse and worse and worse. So I think what people do is they try to flatten the green here. Oh, here's a green, I'm going to flatten it. And you have this awful bump and hill here, okay? I'm going to reverse that. I'm going to reverse the one before. Okay, what you really have to do is iron it out, okay? Watch what you do. You really have to go iron it out piece by piece. Down, get it in front of the green. Get it in front of the green. Keep ironing, almost like you're using an iron. You're going to press it down. When you're ironing a shirt, you go down the length of the shirt, right? You're doing the same thing here, okay? You just got to do it one by one. Click, 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 okay? Keep going. You can already see how much better that is, okay? And you're going to have to play with the fairway a little bit when you get down there too. Now widen it a little bit. Try to get wide as you can. Widen even more as we're heading down on the fairway, okay? And I'm going to stop after this one. We'll worry about the fairway later. But I just want you to see the difference. You see the difference? Okay, is that perfect? No, because it's a little concave there. But that's easy enough to fix. That's a little bit better. I'll try to stop waggling around. I do that a little too much. But you can see how the big bump isn't there. It's not just a giant hill or wall. It's more gradual hill than it was to start. It's a little concave there. All you got to do is a little bit of landscape raise, fuzzy donut, couple inches. Okay, couple inches, and keep doing that until you get it the way you want. I'm not going to waste too much time and bore you to tears on this video with that, but just when you're really just fine sculpting, just a couple of inches here and there makes a huge difference. And almost like, you know, whittling away on a piece of wood. In this case, we're going up, not away, but you've just got to go gradually, okay? And then you can raise it a little bit. A little bit. Okay, that's a little bit more tolerable, if you ask me. Is it perfect? No. But I think for demonstration purposes, you see what I mean. Now, you just got to be careful of the green itself. My apologies, getting a little bit of a cold here. Thanks to my oldest son, who seems to have shared his cold with me from last week. When you're doing that, you got to make sure, you know, you're going to impact the green too. So if I go here, watch the green, right? It's going to change the slope of the green a little. So that's what I mean when you do this. Make sure you haven't fully sculpted the green and it's ready to go. You need to get this straight too. You're going to impact the green as well. So you got to keep in mind the green itself is going to get pressed down a little bit in the front. You don't want to. Now you're going to have like a huge yellow or a red slope going down to your hole location. You don't want that. Sorry. Okay. So, you just want to keep going. You're going to have to do it a few times. But again, keep in mind what it's doing to the green, right? Because if you're anywhere near this green and you're punching down, so to speak, see the green move there? Do you see what happened? I'm going to reverse it. Ready? Reverse. All right, now watch the green move in case you weren't watching that, right? Just off to the left there. Watch by the flag. See how it moves? And there it moves, okay? So when you're doing that, you're going to impact that slope of that green, which you might have already sculpted. So again, try to do this early because you don't want to spend all this time sculpting your green, getting it perfect, and then go, ah, man, I got to work on the front of the green. And then you start pushing down the front of the green and ruin the slope, and, you know, you got a big yellow there, okay? All right, so you keep going with it. Keep going with it, and then notice the bunkers are moving a little too. So if you sculpted your bunkers, you got to make sure that you're not ruining your bunker sculpting. Okay, but if the more you go, you see how it's impacting the whole green. So you got to just really play with the size of that brush and what you're hitting. Okay, and get it to what you want it to do. Here, you kind of want it to go off to each side a little bit. Okay. And you see how that's a little bit more gradual right there, okay? So that's the second pass. Now obviously you got to come down here and make this work. You know, you shouldn't be overly worried about that section as much because you're not going to have a lot of play down there, I don't think, especially on a par 4. Par 5 might be a little different. But still, you got to make it look nice and make it look right. So keep pressing, and now the fairway's totally different, okay? So you might have to resculpt the fairway a little. So it all kind of bleeds in together, right? But Now you're down here, you can make it a little wider. And then you can touch up that fairway however you want. If you want to have some undulations in the fairway, go ahead. But there you can see that's much better than we started with, okay? How I missed it the first time, I don't know. Like I said, this course is pretty old. I'm more cognizant of this now that I have more experience designing. You still have a very elevated green. You still are going to have trouble if you're a little short, okay? But you're not going to have as much trouble. It's not going to be this giant wall, vertical wall in front of the green. Okay, so that's all I'm talking about. Smooth it out, make it make sense, and do what you want. Now, like I said before, you can't have these greens where you want this to be a severe slope and everything that misses in short runs all the way down, like that famous hole, ninth hole on that course in Georgia. That's fine, but I wouldn't do that too often, right? So you got to think about your holes and how it fits into the rest of the course, and if that's really what you want. Here, I think this is fair, where the front of the green, it's kind of just going to stop a little. Just in front of the green might trickle on, and that's fair. And then if you're way short, you're going to get penalized, and you're going to probably wind up down here. But I think that's a fair entrance to the green, and a balanced one. And that's really what you're shooting for. If you want to make it severe, you can, but do it the right way. All right? Cool deal. Let's wrap up. So let's sum things up, everyone. We're back to the first hole. And thank you very much for joining us. So today's topic was green entrances. I'm doing this conclusion and summary a few days after the initial video that you've seen. And I found the Tom Doak quote that I wanted, and I added it to the beginning of the video. But I wanted to talk about it here real briefly. The quote was, "The most overlooked part of green design in modern golf architecture is the entrance to the green." That's from Tom Doak in his book, Anatomy of a Golf Course. So I hope this video helped emphasize that. My sole point today was to drive home the impression that you leave with the entrance to the green in both playability and how your course looks. So it's going to affect how it plays and how it looks. That's all I want to get across today. So we took a look at some elevated greens, and that's primarily what I'm talking about here is elevated greens. But also it applies to flattish greens, downhill greens. We didn't cover that on this video. And greens with no entrance. Obviously, choose those decisions wisely. And what kind of entrance you're going to have. You're going to have an entrance, even if it's no entrance, that's an entrance. That's a decision to make, right? So think about all this. And that was my goal, is to get you to think about that and focus on it. And really impart that bit of knowledge in your designs to make them better. So hopefully we did that a little bit today. This is going to be just part one, because I did a few rounds of investigation. And what I'm going to do is a part two. And in part two, we're going to review how some of the better designers and the best designers in the game approach these situations. So we'll take a look at some, so uphill holes, and some holes where the green's angled, so you're kind of going at it from the side, some with no entrances, etc. So some expert designers, like I've done before in other videos, I'm bringing you their holes and how they approach these things, and hopefully that will make you a better designer and help you think about these things. So, one, it's approach. Two, it's just awareness. And three, it's technique. And I did go over a little bit of the technique for you. I hope that was helpful. So thank you again for joining me today. And please like and subscribe. Feel free to leave comments. Tell me about topics that you'd like me to cover. If you have a course you want me to review, I'm happy to do that as well. But I'm hoping to get more content out there soon. So this is part one. Part two will follow in a week or two. I'm going to do some playthrough videos as well, and get things moving here a little bit now that the real golf season's kind of come to a close in the Northeast. So thank you again. Have a great day, and let's talk soon. Bye for now.